There are moments in life when things don't quite make sense. When you find yourself walking the same path, even though you thought you had left it behind. It's like encountering a place you know, yet with a strange feeling of déjà vu, as though you're revisiting something you should have already moved on from. You wonder why you keep running into the same circumstances, the same challenges, the same emotions that you've already faced before. It can be frustrating, even disheartening, to feel like you're not progressing, like you're going around in circles. But what if, instead of a straight line, the path you're walking is something more fluid, something that bends, twists, and loops back in on itself, leading you around but never quite in the same place? What if the experiences you keep encountering, though they seem so similar, are not exactly the same? Each time they come around, they're asking you to learn a little more, to grow just a little deeper. This thought mirrors an idea expressed in the Bible. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. It's a recurring theme in the scriptures that time is cyclical and not linear. What's striking about this passage is how it suggests that our lives are not just one-way paths, but rather they loop and repeat, teaching us the same lessons over and over until we understand them in a new way. The experiences may repeat, but each time they come around, they offer a deeper level of insight and a greater opportunity for transformation. It's easy to think that once you face a challenge, once you go through something difficult, it's over. You've dealt with it, so you're done. And yet, it often seems like the universe has a way of sending you back to the same places, over and over. It's as if there's a hidden pattern, a cycle that keeps unfolding, drawing you back into lessons you thought you had left behind. Each time the lesson feels familiar, but there's something more subtle in the air, a sense that this time it's asking you to respond differently. This idea of life cycles is not just found in religious texts. Science, too, has uncovered similar patterns. Take, for instance, the phenomenon of spiral galaxies. The universe itself moves in cycles, spirals, and repeating patterns. This isn't just an aesthetic choice of the universe, it's a fundamental characteristic. In the same way that stars, planets, and galaxies follow cyclical patterns, human experiences seem to revisit familiar themes, but each time at a higher level of understanding. Physicist David Bohm, known for his work in quantum theory, famously suggested that reality itself is not static or linear, but rather an unfolding process of interconnected cycles and patterns. It's like a puzzle with pieces that keep slipping out of your grasp, only to return time and time again. At first, it feels like the same pieces, those feelings, those reactions, those situations. And you think, haven't I solved this before? But then, if you really look closely, you see that the pieces are changing. They're shifting slightly, coming together in new ways, revealing a picture that you didn't quite see the last time. It's not about the same thing happening over and over. It's about the opportunity to see it from a different perspective, to understand it from a deeper place. This spiral is not just about repetition for the sake of repetition, but about the opportunity to elevate our understanding. One of the most powerful aspects of the Bible's teachings is the concept of spiritual maturity and growth. Paul, in the book of Philippians, encourages believers to press on towards spiritual growth, saying, "Not that I have already obtained all this, or have already arrived at my goal, but I press on to take hold of that for which Christ Jesus took hold of me." This reflects the same cyclical idea. You return to familiar ground, but each time you move further, learning and growing as you press forward, as you strive for greater wisdom. In fact, science also affirms this. The idea of repeating cycles, not just in the universe, but within our very biology, is backed by what's called the biological clock, the way our bodies function in cycles. Our sleep cycles, the seasons of life, even the growth and decay of cells within us, follow repetitive patterns. This biological rhythm shows us that our experiences of growth, both physically and emotionally, often come in cycles. And just like the spiral shape of galaxies, these cycles may seem to take us back to the same spot. But in reality, we are always progressing, evolving, learning more with every rotation. You might have heard it said that there is nothing new under the sun. That idea has been passed down for centuries, and it echoes through many ancient texts. In the Bible, in the book of Ecclesiastes, it's written that what has been will be again, what has been done will be done again. It's a mysterious truth, suggesting that the cycles of life are not random or insignificant, but that they serve a purpose. The same lessons come around, not because we've failed, but because we are meant to learn them in different ways. The beauty of this spiral pattern is that while the challenges may repeat, you don't stay the same. The person who faces the same challenge today is not the person who faced it last year. You have grown, you have learned, and you are now seeing the situation from a higher perspective. Jesus himself spoke of this idea of personal growth when he told his disciples, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." This speaks to the idea of incremental progress, how our faith and understanding grow even if we feel we are revisiting the same mountains over and over. And this principle of growth, evolving through cycles, is reflected in the science of neural pathways. When we encounter a lesson repeatedly, our brain creates neural pathways that strengthen over time. The lesson, the challenge, may appear again, but each time our response becomes more refined, more considered. Our minds, just like our bodies, grow through cycles of repetition, learning, and adaptation. It's easy to feel frustrated when we face the same challenges again and again. But what if this is not a sign that we haven't learned, but rather that we are being invited to respond differently? Each time we face that familiar situation, we have the chance to approach it from a place of greater wisdom. We are being asked to choose differently, to act in a way that reflects the growth we've experienced in the time between cycles. In the book of Proverbs, there's a line that says, "The righteous fall 7 times, but they rise again." This isn't about falling down and staying down. It's about rising again, each time with more wisdom, more grace. The spiral doesn't keep you stuck, it keeps you growing. Each time you return to the same challenge, you're not the same person you were before. You're a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more ready to respond in a way that aligns with who you are becoming. And perhaps, as science and spirituality both suggest, the beauty of life lies in this very cycle. It's in the constant return to lessons, to challenges, to moments of growth. We are always evolving, always spiraling toward a deeper understanding, a greater sense of self. This is not the repetition of failure. It's the ongoing creation of who we are meant to be. Life's spiral invites us to embrace each return, knowing that with every loop, we are not only revisiting a lesson, but moving closer to the fullness of who we are meant to become. As the spiral continues to unfold, it can sometimes feel like we're caught in a whirlwind of repetition. The challenges we face, the doubts we carry, the struggles we endure, they may seem all too familiar, as though we're stuck in an endless loop. But within this repetition, there is a deeper truth we must learn to grasp. Every cycle, every return to the same lesson, holds the potential for transformation. Just as the seasons turn and the moon waxes and wanes, life's cycles bring us back to what we need to learn, offering us a chance to rise above the place we once stood. In this light, life's patterns mirror the natural world around us. When you look at nature, you see how everything has its time. Seeds must be planted, nurtured, grow, and eventually wither, only to be reborn again in the next cycle. The plant that blooms today was once a seed buried deep within the earth, experiencing the dark, seemingly static time before it began to sprout. It's a process of growth, a cycle of life that can't be skipped or rushed. Similarly, our inner growth unfolds in cycles too. And while we may feel like we're revisiting the same lesson, we're actually going through a process of deepening.